Hi everyone, Champion Trader Kevin Davey here, and today I'm going to talk to you about strategies I'm trading March 2023. So let's get started. So a frequent question I get two questions that are frequently asked, and people want to know what I'm trading at any particular time, and also what some of the equity curves look like, what some of the back tests and real-time trading curves look like for the strategies I'm trading. So I thought I'd share some of that with you today. So I look at algo trading as a portfolio. It's not just one or two strategies, it's a whole bunch of strategies. And the reason is that diversification plays a big role in what I do. I like to have some strategies that trade metals, some strategies that trade energies, some that do currencies. I like to be in all the different market sectors in futures. That way, what ends up happening sometimes is you'll end up losing in some of the sectors in any particular month, but maybe the other sectors make up for it. At least that's the hope. And it kind of smooths out your equity curve. So all my strategies are automated. I don't use discretion. I have to do rollovers manually, but other than that, it's pretty much all automated unless something screws up and I have to fix it. And all the strategies I'm showing, they were all developed with my strategy factory process. It's the same process I teach, and it's the same process that I've been using for probably at least 15, 20 years. Now, the strategies I end up picking, I use a proprietary approach. I start out with about 175 strategies or so, but I'm not going to trade them all. I whittle them down to a smaller group of about 30 to 35 or so, and I'll show you that in a second. This month, I'm trading 6 grain strategies, 6 currencies, 3 energies, 4 interest rates, 4 metals, and 5 softs. So you can see there's and 3 stock indices. I forgot to add that one. Pretty big mix there, and it's pretty diversified. At least I like to think so. I run correlation checks and do other stuff that I explain in the course that I teach that helps people with this. But that's kind of how I'm set up. 31 strategies in all for this month. And when you break it down, by sector, a couple Kansas City wheat, 1 soybean, 1 corn, and 2 live cattle. And then the currencies you can see there, I have 2 Bitcoin. I put Bitcoin as a currency because that's what people use it for. Now, I don't really know if it's considered a currency like all these other ones. The other interesting one is the dollar index. That's on the ICE exchange. If you've never looked at it, it's pretty neat because it's basically a basket of different currencies just measured against the dollar. That's why it's called the dollar index. But it seems like that's a little bit easier sometimes to come up with strategies for than some of these other ones. 2 heating oil, 1 natural gas. Natural gas has been kind of crazy volatile these past few months. It's kind of settled down a little bit, but I thought I'd trade one of those this month. And then interest rates, not a lot to talk about there. As much as I'd like them to be uncorrelated, sometimes they do become correlated. But like right now, I have one strategy that's long the 30-year bond and another strategy that's short the 30-year bond. So I'm flat the 30-year bond. And sometimes they offset each other. And then looking at other markets, I'm doing 3 gold strategies and 1 silver. And then in the softs, I'm going to do 2 coffee, 1 cotton, and 2 cocoa. And then stock indices, 2 of the mini NASDAQ and 1 of the mini S&P. And sometimes with those, I'll even do the micro to get a little bit better or more finer resolution on position sizing. So that's kind of what the portfolio looks like. Here's some sample equity curves, and I'll make a couple comments. And again, these are all automated strategies. And what I'll show here is just one single contract being traded, so it doesn't show any effect of position sizing over time. And again, treat all these results as hypothetical. Okay, so again, these are what I'm going to show you are ones I'm trading live right now. I'm going to show you some of the walk forward period, which is the period in white, and I'm also going to show you real-time trading, which is in light blue. And all these strategies have slippage and commission already added in. Here's one. This is a new one I added. It's live cattle. And you can see it doesn't have a ton of real-time history, but the history it's had is pretty good. And you can see, hey, there's drawdowns with this. This is far from a perfect strategy. And that's the point. Hopefully, if you've watched any of these videos I've been doing, you realize creating a better backtest is not the solution at all. Sometimes you have to live with some big drawdowns, and you see those here and here. So those can be kind of scary. Here's the natural gas strategy I ended, and you can see it's had a very long history of real-time performance, which is nice. It doesn't look as good as the walk forward backtest, and that doesn't surprise me necessarily. And it also had an extended period of really poor performance. And you might say, well, hey, after that period, bad period, that could happen again. I'm not going to trade it. I understand. But the approach I use gives a lot of credence to the recent performance where it's okay, well, hey, it's been doing really well lately. And you'll see that with a lot of strategies where they tend to go in and out of favor. And the trick is obviously to turn them off when they're going out of favor. Sounds easier than it is, though. Here's one on gold. This is interesting because there's not that many trades overall, so this one stays on the sidelines a lot. It's not in the market a ton of the time. But what kind of offsets the limited number of trades is actually the blue period. So it's been going, I want to say about 4 years or so of real-time performance where it's done pretty well. So even though the back test, I would have loved to have had more trades in it, in the white area, the fact that it's been performing real-time so well for so many years, that kind of overrules it in my mind, a lot of the back test, because there's nothing like real-time performance. Here's one on cocoa, and again, you see there was an extended period of drawdown with that one. Lately, it's been doing pretty good, and it doesn't have a ton of time behind it in real time, even though the back test goes way back. And then finally, this is actually a day trading strategy. Some of my students will recognize this strategy, and looks pretty good, but there's been some pretty big drawdowns. There was one during development that was pretty significant, and then there's been one that was real time. That was early 2022, I believe, that happened when the market started to go down. And so you might say, okay, well, this is probably just a long-only strategy. Interestingly enough, it's not. And when you look at the overall performance report, yeah, long does better than short. That's almost always the case with stock indices. But the short has a significant amount of profit. So a third, roughly, a little more than a third of the profit is due to short trades, which is nice. And again, once it recovered from that drawdown, it's been doing pretty well. But I wanted to show you that because that's kind of a little bit different of a strategy, as far as most of those other ones tend to be longer term, lasting days or weeks. This one's all intraday. And, hopefully you've looked at this and you say, wow, these don't look that great. They all have drawdown. They all have flat periods. There's a lot of different things to these strategies, a lot of differences. And I do that intentionally because I don't want all the same types of strategies, the same markets, or the same strategy code. Try to mix things up a little bit. And like I said, they're far from perfect. And as I mentioned earlier, that blue period, when I know I'm done with development and that's just been running in real time, I haven't made any changes to the strategy except normally scheduled walk forward reoptimizations. That's just part of my process. That means those blue periods really are a good indication of how this strategy is going to perform. And a lot of them have multiple years of doing that. And so that's always nice. And, I know I'll hear the naysayers, people comment and say, these back tests, they're not that good, dude. You could do a lot better. I could do a lot better. And yeah, 100% agree. These are not great looking back tests. And I'm talking more about the white area. That was the walk forward test. But you could say even the blue now is looking back, so it's part of a back test, even though it was real-time performance. And you could say, man, they're not that good. I see much better equity curves all the time. Thing you got to remember, thing I always tell my students, building a better back test is not the goal. It's weird because that's like the only thing you can actually measure while you're testing. You can't measure future performance because it hasn't happened yet. But you can measure the past performance. And so people will try to just curve fit, overfit, and try to get the best back test they can. That's a bad road to go down, my friends. The key is obviously that real time, that blue performance, that light blue period. That's what really matters. And that's got to be good risk-adjusted performance. That's the key. And unfortunately, when you're just doing a back test, you don't know what the future is going to hold. And so that's why you have to take your time, develop systems, and then watch how they perform, and then maybe adjust your process. That's what I did for years until I came up with the process I use today. There was a lot of little changes and making it better, and now it's at the point where, hey, it works pretty good and gives good real-time performance a lot of the time. Not every time, but a lot of the time. Does it work for others? Here's a couple student strategies. The answer is yes. And my students have a club that I moderate that allows them to share and track strategies in real time. So you get to share strategies that have done good in real time. And that's huge. And I don't think there's any other course that allows students to share strategies like that. We've had 542 strategies over the years pass a 6-month live test. That's pretty impressive. If you want to learn more, just go to my website, kjtradingsystems.com, click on workshop. You'll learn all about my class. All right, I just want to thank you for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know. What are you trading? Maybe you concentrate on an area. I'd love to know why. What's your thinking? I'm Kevin Davey. Have a great day.